For over a decade, Bashar al-Assad's grip on Syria seemed unshakable. Supported by powerful allies, he had weathered a brutal civil war and clung to power. However, in a stunning turn of events, November 2024 saw his regime crumble in a matter of days. A powerful coalition of rebel groups, sensing weakness, launched a coordinated offensive that swiftly overwhelmed Assad's forces. The speed of the collapse shocked the world. Cities that had been strongholds for years fell in quick succession. Aleppo, Hama, Homs, names synonymous with years of conflict, were suddenly in rebel hands. The Syrian army, plagued by defections and low morale, offered little resistance. Assad's fate remains unknown. Some speculate he fled the country, while others believe he is hiding, hoping to regroup. Regardless, his era is over, leaving a void at the heart of the Syrian state. The swiftness of the regime's collapse offers a glimmer of hope. With Assad gone, could this be the beginning of a new chapter for Syria? Or will the country, fractured and war-torn, descend into further chaos? To understand the events of November 2024, we must revisit the complex tapestry of Syria's pre-offensive landscape. For years, the country had been carved up amongst various factions, each vying for control. In the west, Assad's government, propped up by Russian air power and Iranian militias, held onto a shrinking but strategically important territory. Their grip on power, particularly in the Alawite heartland, seemed secure. To the north, a mosaic of Turkish-backed rebel groups, united under the banner of the Syrian National Army, held sway. Their primary objective was to counter the influence of Kurdish forces along the border. Speaking of the Kurds, the Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, controlled a large swathe of northeast Syria. Backed by the United States, they had been instrumental in the fight against ISIS but remained a thorn in Turkey's side. And then, there was Idlib, a province in the northwest that had become a haven for Islamist militants, including Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, a group with links to al-Qaeda. Their presence added another layer of complexity to an already volatile situation. What triggered the November offensive? A confluence of factors created a perfect storm that Assad, weakened and distracted, failed to anticipate. Firstly, Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 had stretched its military resources thin. Putin, bogged down in a costly conflict, was unable to offer Assad the same level of support as before. Secondly, Iran, facing its own set of challenges in the region, had shifted its focus away from Syria. The wars between Israel and Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon demanded Tehran's attention and resources. With his two main backers preoccupied, Assad found himself increasingly isolated. The rebel groups, sensing an opportunity, seized the moment. Their offensive, meticulously planned and executed, caught Assad's forces off guard. Adding to the regime's woes, years of brutal repression and economic mismanagement had alienated large segments of the population. The Syrian people, exhausted by war and poverty, were no longer willing to tolerate Assad's rule. The collapse of the Assad regime has sent shockwaves throughout the region and beyond. The geopolitical chessboard has been upended, creating both opportunities and uncertainties. Turkey, a longtime backer of the Syrian opposition, emerges as a major winner. Its influence in northern Syria is now undeniable. However, Ankara's ambitions extend beyond countering the Kurds. The age-old rivalry between Turkey and a resurgent Syria, free from Assad, could easily reignite. The United States, while welcoming the end of Assad's rule, faces a new set of challenges. The presence of extremist groups like HTS raises concerns about a potential resurgence of terrorism. Washington must now tread carefully, balancing its desire for stability with the need to prevent a new generation of jihadists from taking root. Israel, long wary of Assad's ties to Iran, finds itself in a precarious position. The removal of Assad weakens Iran's influence in the region, but a chaotic Syria could spill over into the Golan Heights, a disputed territory under Israeli control. As for Russia and Iran, the fall of Assad represents a significant setback. Both countries have invested heavily in propping up his regime. Now they must scramble to salvage their interests and prevent their influence from waning further. The Syrian people, who have endured unimaginable suffering, deserve a chance at peace and stability. The international community must seize this opportunity to help rebuild the country and foster a political settlement that includes all segments of Syrian society. However, the road ahead is fraught with peril. The various factions, united in their opposition to Assad, now face the daunting task of forging a new path forward. Their ability to overcome their differences and work together will determine Syria's fate. The world watches with bated breath. Will Syria rise from the ashes of war, or will it descend further into chaos? Only time will tell.